Okay, good morning, students. And today we are going to study three algorithms. Two of the algorithms, the first two algorithms that we are going to study, are going to be based on reactive method or the reactive unicast routing protocols. And the third one that we are going to study is going to be based on the hybrid mannered routing protocol. Okay, so reactive, just to refresh your memories, in reactive kind of routing, the routes are or the routes are discovered as per the need. Okay, so you don't find out the routes to all possible nodes in the network. Okay, so like in the previous algorithm that we had studied yesterday, okay, DSDV, in that algorithm, from each particular node to all other nodes in the network, we were discovering the routes. So like for example here, we had said that for the node N4, this was the table for the node N4. So we were discovering the routes to all the other possible destinations in the network, in the MANET. Okay, but in reactive kind of algorithms, we are not going to discover the routes at the beginning to all possible destinations from a particular node. Okay, so you will discover the routes only as and when there's a need to send packets to that destination. Okay, so basically we have done this in this kind of algorithms in order to reduce the traffic overhead. Okay, otherwise just we keep exchanging a lot of routing messages and it reduces the bandwidth of your network. And as you know, MANETs are wireless networks and they are basically ad hoc networks. And first of all, they don't have that much bandwidth. So we can't keep doing frequent updates to only routing tables. Okay. In order to reduce that, they came up with this kind of algorithms. So there are two types of algorithms or two examples of this algorithm, reactive type of algorithm that we are going to study today. The first one is dynamic source routing, DSR, and the second one is ad hoc on-demand distance vector routing, AODV. So let's start with the first one, dynamic source routing. So dynamic source routing, like I told you, it's an on-demand protocol, reactive protocol. The routes are created as per the need. Okay. So basically it has been developed for small networks. Okay. Wherein the packets have to travel between 5 to 10 hops. Okay. And the nodes have minimum mobility. That is, the network is more or less stable or more or less static. Okay. It's not very dynamic. So, like I told you, this kind of algorithm does not compute all the routes at the beginning. Okay, you compute the route or you calculate the route or discover the route only when you need it. Okay, so you can think of this just to remember this kind of algorithm. You can think of this. Assume that you are not having a smartphone, you are not having Google Maps, and you're going to some place. Okay, say you want to go to Bangalore by car. Okay, so you don't know the route, you don't have Google Maps with you, so you know basically which is the next town along. Suppose you're living from Margao, you know which is the next town if you want to go to Bangalore. Okay, say you go to Kankan. Okay, so once you reach Kankan, then you will ask someone there which is the next town on the way to Bangalore, and that is the way you're going to find your route. Okay, you're basically going to discover your route as you reach the next town. Okay, so till then you only find out the route to the next town. You don't discover the entire route to the destination. Okay, so the previous algorithm is to do that. It is to discover the entire route to the destination. Okay, here the routes are discovered. Basically we discover the routes as and when we need the packets to be sent on that route to the destination. Okay, you don't discover all the routes on the and all the possible routes in the network. Okay, just to remember, you can keep that example. So basically once the route is discovered, okay, then that entire route information is stored. Okay. At the beginning, we don't discover the entire all the routes, but once you discover a route, then you keep the entire route in the database. We don't just store the next hop. So in DSDV, we to only store the next hop, which is the next town along the route, for example. Okay. Here, once you discover the route, you will store the entire route in your table. So for example, if you were going from Margao to Bangalore and say there were 4 towns on the way, or 4 or 5 towns, so you will store that from Margao you have to go to Kankan, from Kankan you have to go to Karwar, from Karwar say you have to go to Mysore, and from Mysore you will go to Bangalore. So you would store all this information, the entire route, all the nodes along the way to Bangalore in your database. Okay. So one more thing about DSR you need to remember is there could be multiple ways of going to the destination. Okay, more than one route could be present. So if suppose the DSR algorithm finds more than one route, then it may store the multiple entries into the table. For the same destination, there could be multiple entries in the table. Okay, so among them one will be the shortest route and the others could be a bit longer. Okay, or they may be of the same length, but there could be multiple entries for the same destination. Okay, so that is what happens in DSR. So basically DSR works in 2 steps. So the first one is route discovery and the second one is route maintenance. So by route discovery, you know that we will discover the route to a particular destination where the packet needs to be sent. And by route maintenance, we mean that suppose a destination for some reason is no longer present, its status is it's moved away from the network, or its battery has got discharged, so that node is no longer functioning. Then that route has to be deactivated from the database or has to be deleted from the database. So that is known as route maintenance. Okay. Let's look at both of this in the next slide. So first let's look at how to discover a route from the source node to the destination. You can just go through this. I will then explain you this. Just read this. Okay, so if you have read this, okay, I'll just go to the next slide and explain everything what is mentioned in this slide, then we'll come back and read this again. Okay, so basically this is an example where we are going to do route discovery. Okay, so N1 wants to send a packet, the node N1 wants to send a packet to the node N8. The N1 is the source node and N8 is the destination. So when N1 wants to has a packet to be sent to the destination N8, okay, it checks in its routing table whether it has a route to that destination, okay, to the node N8. So when it finds that it is not having a entry for the destination N8, it initiates the route discovery process. Okay, so by route discovery process is it sends a packet known as the route request packet. Okay, so N1 sends one packet known as the route request packet, and this is broadcast to all its neighbors. Okay, so the route request packet will be broadcast to its neighbors. So what does the route request packet contain? The route request packet will contain the source address, okay, the address of the source node, some ID associated with that, and one entry wherein it will record the route. So it will record the entire route till it reaches the destination. Okay, so let's see how this works, how the route discovery works. So let me just cancel out this thing till you understand what is happening. Okay, so now N1 has a packet to be sent to N8. It could not find any entry for the destination N8 in its routing table. Therefore, it has initiated the DSR route discovery. Okay, so in that it is sending a route request packet. So in the route request packet, for our example, to understand, simplify ourselves, assume that it is sending its own name. Okay, so it sends to its own name to its neighbors. Now remember, this is a mannered, it's not connected the way it is shown here, but it is just to show you what are the direct neighbors. So looking at these links, you can make out that which are the neighbors of N1. So it will broadcast a packet containing its name to its neighbors. So its neighbors are N2 and N3. So it will send a route request packet containing its name and the destination, whatever is the destination for that it requires. So these two nodes N2 and N3 will check this packet, will see that they are not the destination, that the destination is N8. So they will add their name to that packet. Okay, so for example, N3, the node N3 will add its own name to the field in the route discovery field. So like I told you here, there is, they record the route, okay, the entire route, that is till it reaches the destination. Therefore N3 will add its name to the route that is being discovered. Okay, and N3 will then forward the new packet which contains the new information to its neighbors. For example, N3 just has one neighbor N4, so it will add its own name to the previous packet that it had got. So it will become N1-N3 and will forward it to its neighbor. Okay, same way N2 had got this packet N1. Okay, since it is not the destination, okay, when it checks the destination is N8, since it is not the destination, N2 adds its name to this packet N1 and will forward it to all its neighbors. Okay, in this case it just has one neighbor, so it forwards this packet, so it will become N1-N2. Okay, and now this process will continue. This process will continue. So now N4 has got this packet. Okay, N4 has got this packet. It sees that it is not the destination, so it adds its name. It adds its name to the routing record that is being created, and it forwards it to all its neighbors. So it is having, you can see, 3 neighbors, N6, N7 and N5. So it will forward this packet by adding its name to all its neighbors. So it will look something like this. It will send to N6, to N7 and to N5. Okay, so the packet that it had received was N1-N3. After it added its name, it will become N1-N3-N4. So it will be sent to N6, it will be sent to node N7 and it will be sent to node N5. Okay, now similarly, now these nodes will process the data. So N5, as you can see here, is receiving 2 packets. Okay, it's receiving 2 packets, 2 route request packets. Now these are route request packets. Okay, so when it receives these 2 route request packets, it will forward only one of these 2. Okay, it won't forward both. Now, like you know, common sense tells us that we need to find the shortest route. Okay, the shortest hop. How many hops are the minimum? Here you can see there are 3 hops. Okay, if you assume that each hop is of 1 unit. So there are 3 hops here. Okay, 3 nodes are involved. Here there are 2 nodes involved. So the shortest one is n1 dash n2. So it will ignore this. Okay, and it will take this one and forward. Okay, it will take this one and forward. So here when it forwards, it will become n1 dash n2 dash n5. Okay, as you can see. So n7, when you check here, n7 gets this packet directly. Okay, but n6 also could send it one packet. So what n6 does is, the node n6, it checks this packet when it comes. It is not the destination. The destination is node n8. Okay, so till the packets reach node n8, each node keeps forwarding the packet. So it adds its name to this packet that it receives and forwards it to all its neighbors. So it will forward this. Since n6 is having only one neighbor, it will forward this packet that it had received. So it will become n1 dash n3 dash n4 dash n6. So n7 gets similarly 2 packets, one from n4, one from n6. Both these are root request packets. So again, like I have explained you previously, n7 will take the shorter one, whichever is having a shorter hop count. So in this case, it is n1 dash n3 dash n4. It takes this one, adds its own name to that root and forwards that root request to its neighbor. So finally, the destination n8 gets 2 root request packets, one from n5 and one from n7. So from n5 is the shorter one. Okay, so finally this packet will be the one that will be replied by n8. Okay, so have you all understood how this thing is working? How the packet, the root request packet that was initially sent by n1 reaches to n8. Any doubts about this before I proceed to the next slide? Okay, still the root has to be acknowledged. Okay, so this is just a root request message. So the shortest root has to be acknowledged by the destination n8. So that I will show you in the next slide. So have you all understood here? Any doubts about this slide? Yeah, you're basically flooding it across. Okay, so you're just flooding that information. Yeah, so this is done only as and when you require to send the packets to that destination. Yeah, correct. So any other question? You well understood what each of these things mean on this slide? Anyone wants me to re-explain it? It's okay? Okay, let me proceed then, if you all have understood. Okay, so now basically n8 has got 2 packets. Okay, the node n8, n1 dash n2 dash n5 and n1 dash n3 dash n4 dot n dash n7. So it has to add its own name to the root and then reply. Okay, so that is done with a root reply message. Okay, so in the next slide we'll see n8 chooses the shorter of the 2 packets. Okay, so this is obviously the shorter. It is just having 3 nodes compared to this one, which is having 4 nodes. So when it adds its own name, the shorter root will have 4 nodes. Okay, it has added its own name, and now it knows from after n8, the next node on the root is n5. So it adds its own name to the root and forwards the root reply packet to the node here that is mentioned in this root. So n5. So now it is sending a root reply. Okay, when the packet reaches n5, it knows the next packet on the root is n2. Okay, so it forwards the packet to n2. Once the root reply packet reaches here, n2 knows that the next packet the next node that the packet has to be forwarded is N1. So it will forward the root reply to N1. So this is the way N1 will get the route for the destination as N1-N2-N5-N8. So it will make an entry for this route in its table. Okay, so this is the shortest possible route that it could find to N8. But in future, for whatever reason, suppose it finds alternative routes. Like you can see, there are many possible routes to the node N8. Okay, so it finds alternative routes. Then also it will make entries for that destination N8 with the alternative longer routes. Okay, it could be longer routes or same length routes, but it will make duplicate entries. So it could have more than one possible route for that destination. Okay, so just you need to remember that. Okay, the DSR algorithm could possibly store more than one possible route to the destination, and it is allowed in this type of algorithm. Okay, but this kind of routing is the routing routes could be made on the fly, meaning they could be made as and when they are needed. You do not discover, you need not have the routes, all possible routes in the table. Okay, or all possible destinations in the table first only stored. You could store only few routes that are commonly used, and then as and when you discover a route, you could store that route. Okay, that is the property of such kind of algorithm. So now you can just read this slide that I told you to read and see if you have understood everything, or you can ask me your doubts. So any questions? I didn't get your question, Pranav. Could you unmute and try to ask me? Take an example and let me know what you're trying to ask here.
So like say suppose N1 wants to find the route to N8, but
Yeah.
then you said it is generated dynamically. So I wanted to ask whether when it reaches N2, it will try to generate the route again, or going to continue on the same path, or is it calculated at N1 again, like alternative paths?
No, no. Now this was the route discovery done by this router N1. Okay. So in future, some other router, this node N2 wants to calculate the destination. N2 may be not sending anything to N8 as of now. No. So it may not have any entry for N8. So this route reply that has been received, this route request was generated by N1. So only N1 will be updating its table. Okay, the other nodes in the along that route may not be updating because they may be not be sending any packets to N8. In future, if they are sending any packets to N8 and they don't have entry in their own routing tables, then they will discover, they will repeat this process, but the source node will then become that particular node. So then N2 may, if N2 wants to send a packet to N8, then N2 may become the source node, and then this process will be repeated. By that time, some of these nodes may have moved away from the network because it's a ad hoc network, it's a MANET. Okay, so the network may no longer look the same. So it does not make any sense for these nodes N2, N5 to store this route that N1 has discovered. Because after a certain amount of time, the network topology may be completely different and the route may no longer be existing. So N2 will only discover the route if it is required in future, or if it is not having an entry in its own routing table. So I hope that answers
Okay,
your
sir.
question.
Okay, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other question?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, since it's a ad hoc network, and if any of the node changes in between, so how it will get to know? It will be like the same time like yesterday, how it puts the infinity. So how
Yeah, we
how
are
the
coming to
routing that time
yeah, we
takes
are coming to
place.
that part, Prathamesh. Like I told you, this DSR works on two steps. Okay, first one is the route discovery. So in the route discovery, I have shown you how the route is discovered, and the second step that now you are asking is about route maintenance. So suppose the node is no longer present or it is moved away, then what to do? Okay, so that is route maintenance. I have not explained you that. I'll come to that. Just wait. So any other question about this slide? Okay, so let's reply to Prathamesh then. What happens if a node is no longer there or it is moved away? Okay, or the battery has got discharged. So many problems could happen with your mobiles. Okay, so whenever a route has been broken, okay, then DSR, then you apply the second step of DSR, that is route maintenance. Okay, so basically in route maintenance, whenever you send a packet and you sense that the packet is not being acknowledged, or uh, then one of the routers along the route may reply with a route error message. Okay, so for example, this was the route that was discovered, N1 to N2 to N5, then the destination was N8. And if this destination is no longer present, okay, this has got deleted or is moved away, battery has got discharged for some other reason. Okay, so the packets that are being sent along this route are not getting delivered. Okay, so if one of these neighbors, so for example N5 senses that this is no longer present, okay, it has moved away, then it will reply to the source. Okay, it knows who is the source because it's getting the packet. Whenever thing to be remembered is, whenever the source is sending a packet, okay, the packet is being sent, it will mention the entire route in that packet. Okay, once it knows the route to the destination, please note that in okay, the DSR algorithm will mention the entire route. So in this case it will be mentioning the entire route, N1 dash N2 dash N5 dash N8. So based on that, each node knows who is the source node and who is the destination node. So whenever, for example, this node discovers that this N8 node is no longer present in the network or has moved away, packets are not getting delivered. So what N5 will be doing is, it will be sending a route error message back to the source node. So first it will send this message to the N2 node, and N2 node will forward it to the source node. When the source node gets that message, it will delete that entry for that node, for that route in that table that it has. Okay, then it may have an alternative way of sending. It may try that way also, but if it is not having any alternative way and it had only one way of sending the packet, one route of sending the packet, then it will delete that route because this node no longer exists in the network. If it has an alternative way of sending the packet, then it will try the alternative way. Okay, say this was the alternative way. Then N7 will discover that this node is no longer present in the network. So it will send a route error message along this path like this. So when the route error message comes to N1, N1 will know that N8 is no longer present along this route also. So it will delete that entry also in the table. So like this, the table entries will be updated. Okay, so does this answer your question, Prathamesh?
Yes, sir. So in between the Ethernet connectivity will say so.
Okay. Was I disconnected?
No, sir, my net goes to one down in between.
Okay. So this is how your DSR algorithm works. Okay. Basically, these are the two steps: route discovery. So in route discovery also there are two packets that are used: route request and route reply. And in route maintenance, third type of packet is used, that is for error, route error packet. So any questions for me before I go to the next type of algorithm that we are going to study? Either reactive only, we are studying reactive today. Two examples we will study. So the first one was DSR. Any questions from here? Okay, let's proceed then. So the remaining algorithms are pretty simple. Okay, if you have understood this, they are based on this one. Okay. The next one that we are going to study is ad hoc on-demand distance vector. Okay. So basically, it uses the same method similar to DSR. Okay. So route discovery and route maintenance is done similar to the previous algorithm that you have studied, that is DSR. Okay. So the same way that we have explained here, the similar way you will be doing route discovery and route maintenance. Okay. So you can just read this. I will explain you what are the differences between the two algorithms. Okay. So you will be wondering now, when I told you that the method is similar, then what is the difference between the two? So I would like to come to the differences first and explain you how the two algorithms are different. So this is all that is mentioned in your textbook actually. Okay. So this is basically everything that I have explained to you till now. So based on the differences that I will explain you, you will come to know why this algorithm is. If the route discovery and maintenance is similar, then what is different you will understand in the next slide. Okay, so let's just look at the comparison. What is the differences between the two? Okay, so like I told you, both are examples of on-demand routing or reactive routing protocols. So AODV algorithm, that is the ad hoc on-demand vector algorithm, works on hop by hop routing. So what is hop by hop routing? Okay, so in hop by hop routing, like I told you, DSR, if it was sending a packet, okay, let's take this example here. DSR was sending a packet to say N4, okay, to N4, and the shortest path in its routing table was having this as the shortest path, N1 dash N3 dash N4. So this was what was the shortest path for the node N4. Okay, then when it is sending a packet, it mentions this entire route, okay, that is what DSR does. But AODV, when it is sending a packet, okay, to N4, and you take the same graph or the same network, then it mentions only the destination. It won't mention the entire path from the source node to the destination. So this is a DSR packet. This is a AODV packet. So AODV mentions only the destination where the packet has to be sent, and it forwards. It will forward it like this. Okay. So it knows the next node and it forwards that to the next node. So AODV will send this packet to N3. The N3 will find the path to the destination. So that is the major difference between the DSR and the AODV. In DSR, the entire path is mentioned, So the nodes, intermediate nodes don't do any calculation, but in AODB, you do not do that. Okay, you just mention the destination and you forward it along the correct path. Then it is the intermediate node's responsibility to continue forwarding the packet onward. Okay, that is one of the major differences. You can read here. So what AODB does is known as hop by hop routing. Okay, so in hop by hop routing, the packets only contain the destination address, and the intermediate routers will determine how best to forward the packet. Whereas DSR will do source routing. So source routing means it knows the entire topology and therefore will specify the entire path. Okay. Then the second major difference is in DSR, the routing table entries do not have any lifetime. Okay, they are not deleted after a specified amount of time. Whereas in AODB, the entries are deleted after a specified amount of time. There is a lifetime associated with each entry. Okay, so in DSR, the entries may not be deleted unless that root, that node is no longer existing, like I have mentioned to you. Okay, it has moved away from the network. The root never is not existing. It gets a root error message, then it may get deleted. Okay, otherwise the root remains in the table. In AODB, it need not be that case. Okay, then like I told you, DSR will maintain more than one route. It could maintain more than one route, multiple routes to that same destination. In AODB, we do not maintain multiple routes, only one route per destination. Okay, so because DSR maintains multiple routes, requires more storage, but AODB requires less storage. Okay. So in DSR, you may not be able to determine which route is shorter or which route is more older. Okay, it does not have any mechanism to decide that. But in AODB, since there is only one route, there is only no choice. You have to always use that route. Okay. So if there's a newer entry, then the older entry will be deleted, and you will use the newer entry always. Okay. Whereas in DSR, there is no mechanism of determining which is the newer entry. So you could have had multiple entries, and you are not sure which is the newer entry and which is the older entry. Then route discovery cycle is more frequent in AODB. Okay, and not that much route discovery is done in DSR. But when you have a large number of nodes in the mainnet, then it becomes difficult to maintain the routing table. So scalability means having a large number of network nodes in the network. So then the routing becomes a little bit difficult. So like we had discussed at the beginning when we were studying DSR, it works well for mannets up to 5 to 10 hops. Okay. So this I've already mentioned that DSR is using source routing, but AODB is using hop by hop routing. Okay. Then already this is also mentioned that DSR is not having any timer, but AODB is having some kind of timer for the entries. Okay. So you can just read, I've already explained this. So this is the basic difference between the two kind of algorithms of reactive. That AODB is a reactive algorithm. It does not have all the routes to all the destinations in the network, but it is working on hop by hop routing. Okay, the entire route is not mentioned in the packet. Whereas DSR works by putting the entire route in the packet. The source node will put the entire route to the destination in the packet. So this is the major difference between the two. And the second major difference is that in DSR, the entries do not have any lifetime. They can be could be kept for a longer time, whereas in AODV, the entries could be deleted after a certain timer. So any questions for me on this AODV? So now we can actually look at this slide and understand what was mentioned. Okay. So, like I told you, the route discovery and route maintenance are similar to DSR. It uses hop by hop routing, sequence numbers, and beacons. Beacons means just some small messages to signal. Then whenever it generates the route request message, it is forwarded by intermediate nodes, like we have seen in DSR. Okay. And once the route is discovered also, then also you will. So whenever here in this case in AODV, the intermediate nodes may store the route, okay, while forwarding the packets. So it may make an entry for the destination in its routing tables. Then just like your DSR, when the route request reaches the destination, then it replies, the destination will reply with the number of hops to reach the destination. So all the nodes that are participating in that route discovery will then will learn the destination route as well as the forwarding route to the destination. Okay. And the source, since the source node is not putting the entire route in the packet while it is sending, therefore a large header is avoided. Okay. So in DSR you put an entire route, so the header is larger. In AODV you put only the destination node, so the header is smaller. So if you are having any doubts, you can let me know about AODV, or we'll proceed to the next type, the third algorithm that we need to study today. Any questions? Okay, then let's go to the third type of algorithms that we are going to study, and that is zone routing protocol. So zone routing protocol is based on the hybrid kind of protocol. So like we studied previously, hybrid protocols are having characteristics of both reactive as well as proactive protocols. Okay. So basically they are designed for networks that are having a lot of nodes. So your MANETs that are having a lot of nodes. So it is highly scalable. And then we also want to reduce the wastage of bandwidth due to the route discovery messages. So for those kind of networks, these hybrid protocols work very fine. So for nearby nodes, we use proactive methods, okay, and for far away nodes, use reactive routing methods, okay. So let's take an example and see how it works. So one example of that kind of algorithm hybrid is zone routing protocol. So zone routing protocol, like I told you, is an example of hybrid protocols. Okay, then it does something like you must have learned in data mining. It does something similar to what is done in data mining, that is known as clustering. Okay, so it forms zones of nearby nodes. Okay, and within that zone, it uses proactive routing algorithm. Okay, and if you want to send a message from one zone to another zone, then you will use reactive routing protocols. Okay, so let's just look at this. Suppose this is the entire network. Okay, so first part of your zone routing protocol will be to create the zones. So It's not mentioned in your textbook how you create the zones, but I've just found this information on the internet and I'm sharing with you. So for example, you take one node as the source node, okay, and you decide the number of hops for the zone. So if we decide the number of hops for the zone is equal to 1. So if you take this as the starting node, okay, source node, then all the nodes which add one hop from that, okay, so for example B, E, G, F, C, A, okay, so all the nodes that add one hop from this node will be put as together as in one zone, okay. Similarly, you take this as the source node, okay, so all the nodes that add one hop from this node will be taken as another zone, okay. So this is something similar to that. Those who had studied data mining, you will know that this is something similar to clustering, okay. So this entire thing is one network, is one mainnet, okay, but within this one mainnet we are having two zones. So this is the first zone, a slightly bigger zone, okay, having more nodes. There are 7 nodes, and this is the second zone, okay. This is second zone wherein there are 4 nodes, okay. So this is how basically how zones are created based on the number of hops, okay. So you select one particular node, all the nodes that are reachable from that node at a distance of the hops that you mention, okay, those will form one zone. So this is within this zone, and within this zone you are going to use what we have decided is table driven protocols, that is proactive. So suppose I call this as zone 1, okay, this is zone 1 and this is zone 2. So within this zone 1 you will be using proactive. So for example, we have studied one example of proactive algorithm is DSDV. Within this zone you will be using DSDV. Similarly, within this also zone you will be using DSDV, proactive algorithm, okay. So these 4 nodes will be using DSDV for routing. Similarly, these will be using DSDV, okay. But suppose you want to send a packet from one zone to the second zone, okay, then you will be identifying the nodes that are on the border, okay. So for example, here you can see G is the border node. Similarly, H and I are the border nodes for the second zone. So from the border nodes, you'll be sending the packet. Suppose A wants to send a packet to J. So A will find the shortest path to the border node. The border node in this case is G, okay. So suppose this is the shortest path, we will forward the packet to the border node. So once the packet reaches here, G notes that the packet is not intended for any node within this zone, okay, but it is intended for a packet within the zone which is Z2. So it will send, it will make use of reactive, it will discover now a new route to this node J. It will use reactive algorithm. It could use DSR or it could use AODV, for example, okay. It will discover the route as per the need, on demand, okay. So for communication between two zones you will use reactive algorithm. So as per that reactive algorithm, maybe it finds the shortest route is from here, it will send a packet to H, and then the packet will be delivered to J. So for interzone you use reactive algorithm, and for intrazone you use proactive algorithm. So this is how, using both the methods, that is your hybrid, it is known as hybrid, your routing will be done within this mainnet. So like I told you, remember this is just one network, it is not two networks, it's one network. Within one network we are having two zones, okay. So this is how basically a zone routing protocol works. So any questions for me, students? Okay, I'll stop the recording.